Welcome to the Powerful Podcast, where you will learn the marketing, strategies, and beliefs to grow your dream business. Totally possible, and I'm so excited to share this with you. I'm Anamaria Velasquez, and I grew and scaled my own business from zero to multi-millions and sold the business. And now I'm here to teach you exactly how to grow and scale your business from 6 to 7 figures and more with ease, simplicity, joy, and fun with, of course, strategy, mindset, and marketing to take you to that next level. Welcome back to the Powerful Podcast. I'm Anamaria Velasquez, and I'm so excited to have today's guest, Anamaria Velasquez. Anna is a soul purpose or Dharma coach based in the Bay Area in Northern California. She's a fiance to her high school sweetheart, Gino, and together they have their fur babies, Milo, Delilah, and Remy. She recently launched her own business, Light Oasis, whose mission is to guide those searching for their purpose through self-discovery, healing, and achieving inner harmony in order to build a purpose-filled business of their own. Light Oasis emerged as a response to personal struggles, reminding us all that the light we seek is within. It's Anna's mission with Light Oasis to impact those who are searching for the more in their lives and to remind them it's already within them. I'm so excited to have Anna here. She's actually one of my own coaches, and she brought so much calm and peace to my own life. She is the ultimate, how do I say this? There's an essence, a light, a calm, and she's so peaceful and in such a beautiful harmony also with divine and with the universe. I mean, just look at her face. If you're watching this on video, you can just see she's radiant. And so I'm so excited to have you here. And today we're going to be talking about enough and essence. And I'm going to leave it to you to tell your story, talk about enough, and then our essence and why this is so important for us as all humans, but particularly as women. So over to you. Tell us more.
Yay, Almira, thank you so much. I love you and just thank you for the openness that you had during our coaching time together. Yeah, it's just been such a beautiful journey to watch you grow. And thank you for having me on here to share a little bit more about that. Like you said, I'm Anna. I like to think of myself as a energy or a spirit having a human experience here in this life. The journey for me to knowing in my soul that I'm enough, it's been a wild one, right?
Mm-hmm.
As it is. I always like to start this story with just saying briefly about where this all started. You could call it a spiritual awakening, you could call it a quarter life crisis, whatever it is that you want to call
Both
it,
of
but
them.
right, they're the same. In September of 2020, the whole world was just going through chaos, of course, but it was a time in my life where things got a little bit dark, like things got a little crazy. And I found myself at a time where my fiance, Gino, like Almir said, was, is my high school sweetheart, but he was going through a really rough time in losing his mom. And so suddenly, and there was like a period of time there where all these emotions started coming up. I was like, I feel like I'm not showing up for him. I feel like I don't know how to support him. I feel like I'm so unhappy with my job. At the time, I was also in network marketing and I had a team. I was successful at that point in my journey in that, and everything just started swirling. It felt chaotic. It felt crazy. It felt like we need to burn this all down. And it was a lot to deal with. And so that is where my awakening kind of came. And it comes in a form of dark night of the soul, right? It's where all of these things start coming up for you and you're starting to look at them in all angles and you're like, what is even happening? How did you get here? Why do you live in this house? Why do you have the job that you have? Why are you in the relationship that you're in? So if you have dealt with any of those questions as of late, just know it's fine. It's normal. You're going to get out of this and be on the other side of this, looking in and really saying like, wow, we did it, right? So for me, I had all of these moments in time where I paused and I was looking at this. I was like, I don't even like this. There has to be more, right? And
Yeah.
that's where everything started.
Yeah.
There has to be more. There has to be another way for me to be happy in the work that I'm doing. There has to be another way. There has to be more than just this like mundane day to day in my relationship, and not just in my intimate one, in my relationships with my friends and my family, like my parents. And there just had to be more. There had to be another way. And really starting to awaken to that changed everything. And then, along with this, my body started yelling at me.
As it
Sometimes
does.
it's those whispers, but your body will really yell at you and say, hey, this is not working out. And for me, that left me in a moment in time where I was just knocked out of my body for a week. Like I couldn't walk, could barely move. And it was my body's way of telling me, hey, we have to change something. And so I got curious. And then I started investing in myself and I started investing in coaches and I started realizing, wow, there is more in this world, not just like what I know and what everyone around me is doing. There's more to this life. And looking through all of that and like making the investments, making the changes, doing all of that led me to have this inner knowing that I was enough just as I was. I just didn't know it yet.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Everything
I
you want
hope that
is
makes
within
sense.
you. Yes. And
Yeah.
there's so much talk about and be feeling enough or feeling good enough is the core wound. And it's so true because we've been taught to seek that validation externally. And particularly for in human design, I'm a projector. Like it's so heavy for me that we're always looking externally to be validated or to get that feedback when all along it's actually within ourselves. So tell me about the work that you do to when you work with your clients to uncover that. And then also what you did for yourself. How did that come about? How does the change actually happen? It's true that the more that you are looking for is within yourself, but what does that actually mean? And how does that fulfill everything, particularly when we're taught to seek fulfillment from the external? What does it look like and feel like, and the texture of that when it's within you?
Mm, yeah, I love that. Yeah, so my program is called Enough
Love
because
it.
that has just been the journey that I have been on, right? And yes, it is my duty, my responsibility, my passion to go and teach women that they are enough as well, right? And so I came up with the enough method. So
Mm,
acronym for that is energy. So energy, it all starts there. The work that I do primarily works with energy. So yes, I have these one-off strategy sessions that we could do. I have, human design and Dharma readings. I have my coaching containers, but really what it comes down to is I'm working with the energy that you bring,
mm,
right? And so my work as an energy healer too, that is the premise of all of this.
mm,
I have to tap into your energy in order for us to know the energy of your business, the energy of the way that you are in relationship to yourself and others. That's what's really important, right? So, energy is the component that I bring into all of my work and in enough because it starts there. And human design, what is it? It's your energetic blueprint, right?
mm,
So, human design is another tool that I work with in that. Um, this is important for us, for all of you to know, is we all operate at a certain frequency, right? And when we are in disconnect with ourselves and we're not feeling like we're enough, it's because there is a literal energetic disconnect there where um we're not operating in the way that we're saying what we want, right? So I want the business, I want the money coming in. I want the relationship. I want the whatever it is that you want. You're saying that, but the way that you are acting is not in agreement to that, right?
mhm,
So together, we tap into all the tools and we make sure that your energy is matching so that
mm,
you are putting out that frequency that you are wanting to then receive.
mhm. And
So
also
energy,
alignment.
yes, yes, exactly. Energy, then we have non-negotiables. So
Mhm.
that's the N in enough. And that, call it what you want. Call it boundaries, call it rituals, call it whatever it is. But there are non-negotiables that we all have in our lives. And that if we don't have them, could also be causing us to feel not enough,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
What we will
because
tolerate.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You get what you tolerate, and we have to be very mindful of that. The O is openness, open mind, open heart, open energy, open all of it. Like
Love
it
it.
is so important for you to truly, like not just say you're open-minded, but truly have an open mind because when you get on this journey of finding yourself and going through your spiritual awakening and all of that, things are going to come flying at you and gets crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So open mind, open heart, open to receive all of it.
Totally. Everybody thinks it's unicorns and rainbows when it is half the time, if not more, it's on your knees. When will this be over? And it takes so much courage to go down a path of spiritual
Mm,
awakening because there's also so much uncertainty and you have to let go of control. And I think particularly as quote unquote career women, ambitious
yeah.
career women, we could do anything, but we desire to also manifest and work with the universe. And sometimes half the
Yes.
exercise is actually that letting go of controlling. But, it's actually really good at letting go of the desire to control. But then you realize you're still trying to micromanage everything. And I think in some ways that's half
Right.
the battle. And then also building up trust and trusting that if I don't stick my fingers in every pie, which I love to do. If I can take my hands off and my hands off the wheel, that this is going to be okay. And that is a battle in itself.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
open to receiving.
Open to receiving in all ways because it will come in twists and turns, things that you never even imagined would be in your world. And it's all meant to happen that way, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So openness. I love that you said trust too. Trust is such a core value of my world. I work with the energetic world and all of that. It's really important. So yeah, openness. Then we have unveiling. This is my favorite. It's
Yes.
my sweet spot with my clients because we're unveiling all the layers. We're pulling everything back, right? We're like saying, yeah, I'm cool with that job. Actually, no, I'm not. Like I'm being truthful about that, right? I love the way that I'm in relationship with my body and my habits. Actually, no, I'm not. Okay. We're unveiling all of that, right? And that's what's most important because that's where that truth comes in. That it's that inner knowing now expressed outwardly, right?
Mhm.
It's like, oh, there were always these whispers and I didn't want to say I didn't want it to be true, but now actually it's true and it's okay.
Yep.
And I'm speaking up for what it is that I want to change, right? So it's my favorite part when all of that starts coming together. It's like, oh, yes.
White knuckling happens. And also the taking
Yes.
responsibility and accountability for, are you living in cause or effect? And what are you the cause
Mm,
of? And what is the effect of what you have unknowingly caused? And that radical
yeah.
responsibility, it's hard to look at. And not that I've messed up a ton of shit. That's not what I'm saying, but it's even just in the smaller things or what was I tolerating? Okay, well, I still caused it by tolerating it.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that, but it's also about taking the softer, gentler approach to see it as an awareness perspective as opposed to a blaming perspective. When you can just look at it
Yes.
factually and you can sit behind it and melt behind it and say, okay, that happened, as opposed to going down a usual woman's response to internalizing it and beating ourselves up and having the gentleness to ourselves to just look at it as the gentle observer. And I think that's also been a big thing is just be a gentle observer. There is no story. It is
That's
neutral.
it.
It's like, okay.
Yes. Yes, Almira. Yes.
Mhm.
You're getting
But that's
it.
hard. It is hard.
A
But it's
hundred
also nice because you
percent.
know you can fix it. And we like to fix.
We do. We do. And it's also like taking that foot off the gas, right? And realizing like everything will fix itself as long as we're living in our truth and our hearts and the way that we like want things to, the way that we want the outcome to be, right? Like it will happen if that is what's truly meant for us.
Mhm.
Yeah. So good. G is growth. Sometimes, so the women that I primarily work with is entrepreneurs. So spiritual entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs that are just starting out or they're like in the 9 to 5 world, but they know that they want to get this offer, whatever it may be, whether it's a whole business or just some kind of something to get out into the world. It's hard,
Mhm.
right? For us to accept and look within ourselves and notice the growth that we have had,
Mhm.
right? Again, entrepreneurs, we're very driven, very ambitious, very like go getter. I want to achieve all, right?
Mhm.
So we're only focusing on one side of the story here. But the work that I do a lot in enough is we look at where you've already come to, like all the growth that you have already had, even in, 1, 2, 6, 7 months now that my clients are at, I frequently revisit the growth that they've already had because that will only be, what is it, an energetic match for what will come, right? So it's really important to tap into that.
Mhm.
And then habits is the H,
Mhm.
and it's my favorite thing. I have a free course, so if anyone wants it, it's called Harmony Habits.
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and leave the link with you, Almira, but it's free. It's literally from the heart. It is one of the only things that I have ever stuck with in terms of building up habits in my life because they are all coming from a place where they are aligned with who I am and what I want and my values. And I've had clients say, this is the only thing I've stuck with, and I have ADHD, so that's saying a lot. Like,
Yeah.
it's really important to establish habits, routines, rituals, whatever you want to call it in your life that will help you align to what it is that you want. And so the premise of that in Harmony Habits is um, we do 5 things every single day, one for your mind, body, soul, purpose, and your loved ones. And as long as you keep a promise to yourself in that just one thing every single day, you will notice such a shift in your energy and the way that you operate and what you bring into your world. So that's enough in a nutshell.
I love it. And it's
Yeah.
because I was recently reading about rewiring your subconscious, and the subconscious needs the repetition, but the repetition doesn't happen just through an affirmation or something. It actually happens through the action. And I thought that was super interesting because
That.
it and the whole personal development world is, and this is not to diss it, but it's not
Right.
just saying an affirmation. There's both sides of it. And until you actually do the action, until your body can do it, or you easily create the neural pathways, the new neural pathways, which is done through a habit, it's actually done through the action.
Yes.
The body can
Yes.
actually rewire itself. And so that's been amazing. And hilariously enough, I write myself checks every day for $10,000 because I'm like, well, if I'm going to write the action,
Oh,
and
hell
might
yeah.
as well. Why not? And if everything is based on imagination, because when they talk about, the feeling is the secret, but it's
Hmm.
actually about the imagination. It's not about the thinking. It's about the imagination, just like we were children and the dreaming and everything. So I'm like, fine, I'm just gonna write checks for myself for $10,000 every day and see what happens. But again, really surprising to me or just interesting about you actually need to do the action. It's not just about any habit that you form because it creates a habit, which we all know you have better habits, you can change your life. But it was just interesting about the repetition of the doing is actually what needs to be done because I think so much of that is not talked about.
Yes. Yeah. It is the most important part. The universe loves action.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
universe rewards action, right? It's not just like, I mean, sometimes it happens like, okay, I think one thing and like, boom, it appears. Okay, cool. But 9 times out of 10, what happened is I actually put myself physically in that action, that form of whatever it is that I wanted, right? So you writing the checks, absolutely. Guess what's going to come a lot freaking faster
Yeah.
is versus you thinking about it or you actually like doing it, right? Yeah, it's the most important part. And so that's what I work with my clients is I call it sacred action. Like,
Mm.
what is the sacred action that you can take today? Because knowing that that's what's aligned, that's what you're meant to do. That's what you're meant to bring about in your field.
Someone know that something is meant for them, because of course we operate so much out of our minds. And I think right
Yeah.
now people are also searching for their purpose, but in a lot of ways, we've been conditioned to believe that our purpose is through work. And so, which is not necessarily,
Hmm.
maybe my purpose or one of my purposes, I do believe is to be a really great mother. But as we
Yeah.
search for this purpose, and sometimes we listen to outer voices, or we don't know which voice is ego or which voice is intuition, how do you
Hmm.
actually know what is truly for you?
Yeah. I love this question. I get it a lot.
Right.
A lot. Yeah. Ego will always sound like blaming, shaming. Um, it will sound like the tone of it just feels like you want to like, kind of
Contract.
clench up. Yeah, like you don't really want that, right? And so it will sound like, yeah, you should go spend that money for that coaching container because you don't know anything, right? That's what ego will sound like. Or ego can even sometimes, in a really twisted way, sound loving. It's like, are you sure you want to do that? Do you really have the time? And that's when you'll start tricking yourself and thinking, like, oh, yeah, maybe I don't, right? But again, tapping into what your body feels like, the body is the best tool. And the more that you can tap into that and tap into your intuition, um, to know what that difference is, the better. So when it's your intuition, when it's love,
Mm.
you will feel such expansiveness. It's almost like you can melt into this, your shoulders will drop down. You're like, yeah, actually, that does feel good. You'll start like almost that imagination part kicks in, right? It's like, what if I can do that? What if I can go start that business? What if I can make an impact? What if I do launch this book? What if I do put this podcast out into the world? And that's free, right? There's another portion of that. What you said is uh people think that purpose means just money or purpose means like what you do in this world. It is what you do, but it's not just monetarily, right? It's how you are, period.
Mhm.
What do you do in your day-to-day life? Being a mother is being in your purpose.
Mhm.
And you get to do that well, and you don't get paid for it, but you're nurturing and you're being in all of you, right? Like that just fills you up. That makes you have that feeling of like, that
Mhm.
feels so amazing. Like your heart center truly like just expands. It's like, oh my gosh, more of this, please.
Yes.
Ego will make you feel like to some point even sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're feeling small, it's not this,
Yes.
and yes, there's talk about the inner child and the sad inner child, but it's a protective mechanism that will always keep you small. And we're
Hmm.
talking so much about you're rent for more. And the more isn't necessarily about making millions of dollars in the house. And that's a wonderful more. Like who doesn't want poolside champagne at all times, right? More
Right.
is about the joy and the pleasure. I feel like I'm getting
Hmm.
so much of my more in the pleasure of just being,
Yes.
or the pleasure of just peace. It's funny, I've said to people, I never thought that at 47, the thing I love having most in my life, aside from my son, of course, is peace. And
Yes.
we all believed things would be so different, but I am so happy with peace and simplicity and joy. And joy is just with love, those are the highest vibrations. So, what is it that
Yes.
brings you joy and peace? And again, it's such conditioning about you
Hmm.
need to go out and do these things or X, Y, and Z when the simplicity is coffee on my porch in the morning, those pleasurable moments, what brings me pleasure.
Truly.
And that's so much of the stuff that raises our frequency, which is so wild. And I love it. And I wish I could just sit there having coffee and everything would just magnetize to me. I'll just write myself more imaginary checks and call it in. But yes, I do have to do some work, but that's all to change it and to live the life that we've always dreamed of as we do it. But it's about not
Yeah.
this life. The majesty and the magic of this moment is where life is
Hmm.
lived.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And we love, like, it's actually really just as simple as that.
I
Like,
know.
truly.
Yep. It's
But
like
we
complicated.
love, yes, we love to overcomplicate. We love to, like, okay, but are you sure? Like,
Mhm.
we second guess everything. Yes, it's that conditioning. I want you to think of it this way, like, as a kid, okay, for me, I'm thinking like I'm full on in this moment right now, in this vision. Like, I'm a kid, I'm living at my old house. What I really wanted in this moment in time was to just go out. There was a tree right outside of our house that, like, I fit perfectly in. Like, I would climb it and I would fit perfectly in, and it would make me so happy. And I would just sit there and just hear the leaves and, look at the ants on the tree and all of that, just so present, right? That's what I wanted to do. And so I went and did that.
Yep.
And I followed my gut and it felt amazing, right? And now, if you were to ask me, I'd be like, well, how tall is the tree? Am I going to get down safe? Like, can
Yeah.
I do, are there bugs on there?
Yeah.
You know, that's our conditioning
Yeah. Yeah.
versus like our inner child self, our real natural self. We're just like, yeah, fuck
Yeah.
it, let's do it. Like,
Yep.
sounds great.
Totally. And that goes back to the
Right?
authentic self. And I don't even know if we even understand our authentic selves outside of the conditioning. And they say go back
Yeah.
to your first memory as a child or as you came out as a baby in the world. And most of our first memories are probably conditioned ones, or you're starting to observe the outside. So I think I was actually
Hmm.
asked yesterday, it was like, what was it like when you first came out of the world? Can you think about that? And I thought, no, I actually can't, because
Me neither.
I have no idea. And actually, my biggest question was, is my authentic self good enough to have the life that I want? Because my conditioned
Wow.
self, and I didn't realize to what extent I was conditioned in all the stories that I had, grew up middle class, and it was fine and perfect. But
Yeah.
those stories have been running my life about why I can't be wealthy, or a brown girl doesn't get to be wealthy, or brown people are
Oh,
second class, like all of these stories. And then
girl.
you start to
Yeah.
look at those, right? And you start to look at
Hmm.
it, and you're like, oh my God, that's the shit that's been running my life. I don't consciously think it, but clearly it's subconscious. So then you
Yeah.
start to think about what the authentic self is, but there's still that question and I think that that's where part of my fear as I continue to move forward on my journey is
Hmm.
my authentic self actually good enough to magnetize this? And then the ego question comes up. Your authentic self will magnetize middle class, and it starts to bring
Wow.
down, or I can only manifest to a certain level because I'm second class because of my skin color. And then I'm like, this isn't even my authentic self. It's my ego shitting all over this again. And it
Yes.
feels like it's too good to be true that my authentic self is good enough to get everything I want and to magnetize it. And there's still so much
Mm,
around who we truly are.
yeah. Yeah. It's wild, right? How that protective mechanism will, like, immediately shoot up.
Yep.
And so it's so interesting when you start doing this kind of work, right? Because what's cool, what I can see right now, Almira, is in this moment right now, like, real moment, is I can see that that's coming up for you because you're ready to now release that. Like
Mhm.
there has been so many layers, like dense energy that has just been coming up, and you're chipping away at each layer, right? And now the thing is that your authentic self and your ego will fight until one wins, truly. Like
Yep. Yep.
what you have to ground in and remember is that actually, Almira, just because you were born at this moment in time and you're alive right now, that wealth is literally your birthright.
Mhm.
Like you are meant for this because you want it, it wants you to,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
But we forget because then our ego comes in. It's
Yes.
like, are you sure?
Yes.
No, just don't even worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll be good middle class. At least you're not poor,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yep.
all of those ridiculous thoughts will start coming in your head. But now what's happening is your authentic self is speaking louder.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
And the louder it gets, the more real it becomes,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I was doing a money program with Kate Northrup, and she'd originally called
Oh,
her program Plenty. And one of the things that she'd said
ooh.
is that there's actually not a money issue in the world. There is a distribution issue. And these are
Mm.
man-made things that are happening. Starvation,
Yep.
drought, Africa, it is all man-made. It's
Mm-hmm.
lie of scarcity and the
Mm-hmm.
illusion of scarcity. And actually, there's plenty of everything. All you have to do is look outside and see the abundance in nature and how everything is provided for. Everything. And that
Everything.
is the truth of it all. And
Yes.
that one, that got me. And it also, in a lot of ways, alleviated my guilt about the my second class citizen is saying, you should be happy with what you have because you have more than 98% in the world, which I absolutely agree with. But then again, my ego is
Mm-hmm.
it just needs to calm down. And apparently you're just supposed to love your ego and integrate it. But I'm still yelling at mine. Like, come on, man, enough already. But the lie of scarcity and that fundamentally we have a distribution problem, that one blew my mind.
Yeah. 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 Also the premise of enough, right?
Yes.
Like actually you do have enough. You
Yes.
do because we all have more than enough. The world truly, energetically speaking, is so freaking abundant.
Mhm.
And so yes, that is amazing. We have a distribution problem.
Yeah.
We also have a line problem, right? Like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to get into that because I could go down a whole
Yes.
other
Yes.
hour of this, but it's it's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad on what we put our priorities on as a world, you know? But yeah, and also calling in the fact that Almira, in that moment in time when you're like, I do have enough now, that's exactly the growth part that I was talking about. It's kind of like growth slash gratitude,
Yeah.
right? That G in enough, because it's like, I'm so grateful for what I already have and what I've gone through and what I'm growing through, and I want more.
Mhm.
And I'm allowed to want that.
And it's okay. Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And there's no such thing as settling because there's no need to settle. Just have to have
Exactly.
an energetic match and to truly believe it's possible. On
Exactly.
that, I want to talk about essence because I feel like it's energy and moving into that. So tell us about essence.
It is. Yeah. So essence, it's kind of that moment where I was tapping into as a kid on the tree, like it is our most pure form of ourselves.
Mhm.
It is those whispers that we get, you know, right as you're falling asleep or in the middle of the night or right when you're waking up. It is, and also this is like very scientifically, but there's also certain brain waves that happen. And the point is that there is this very true, pure form of you, and we can access it. We have access to it at all times. But then what happens is we start putting the hats on. We're like, okay, got to go to work. I got to go be a mom. I got to go be a wife. I got to go, whatever it is, right? got to go do everything. And we get so far away from tapping into ourselves and tapping into our purest form, asking ourselves, what is it that you want? Nurturing ourselves in a way that we wish that we were nurtured when we were growing up, right? I say this to my clients all the time too. The point here in this world, in our lifetime, is for everyone is just to get back to that inner child in ourselves and nurture ourselves, parent ourselves in a way that we wish that we were, and go out and live that way, right? Not shaming anything, not blaming our parents, not blaming ourselves, blaming anyone. It's just giving ourselves what we know we needed and going out and living our lives that way.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And I feel like that is our essence. It's our truth in this moment, at this moment in time. It's our presence. It's our pure innocence in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is our essence. And that is what energy helps really like break free. Truly, truly it does. It breaks down all the layers and gets to know like, okay, what is it that you truly want? And then we go out and live that way.
Yes. And going back to it, the whole concept of I got me, it's about safety and loving ourselves. It's not meant to make us more independent, because I think particularly for women of my generation, we've been taught to be hyper independent. And that's also part of the difficulty of surrendering is that when you are surrendering to an invisible force, you have no idea who's got you. And at least if I know that I can do this on my own, it's going to happen. But then I'm like, yeah, but if I work with energy in the universe, it's going to happen even better than my wildest dreams. So why would I want to work hard? But there's still that piece of hyper independence that comes into it. Like, I got it. But when you say I've got me, it's not to say that I've got me and I'm keeping everybody else out and I'm just going to do it myself. And in fact, it's a softer version of you that it's I've got me and I've got community and I've got love, or I can have joy and peace and presence all within myself. And I don't have to need somebody else. I desire to have somebody else, but I don't have to need somebody else, because that's almost like taking off the hyper independence that we're just so used to having. It's a softer approach to having people in your life, but also saying that I got this. I know how to nurture myself. I know how to take care of myself. I know how to love myself, and I know I'm enough. So all of a sudden, hold on a second, I'm enough. I'm good. I'm good. I got this and I got me, but not to the extent that you're blocking everybody else out.
Exactly. Exactly. I got me. I love that you said that. It's a remembrance of the fact that you are connected to whatever it is that you believe in. Okay. I'm not like here to put words into anyone's mouths. And energy, God, whatever it is that you believe in, is that you are in oneness with that. There is no separation. There is no disconnect. There is no nothing. And I got me, saying I got me is knowing that I got me because I was put here to remember this. I chose to be here in this lifetime because I got me. You have everything that you need within yourself in order to go out and do the things that you want to do, being your purpose, and go out and spread your contribution and being your impact. There's no separation that happens here. It is I got me because I chose this.
Yes, I know. And every time you're going through the dark night of the soul, it always helps to remember that you chose to do these lessons. But don't blame yourself. It's the ego will always choose a familiar hell rather than unfamiliar heaven. So
100%.
every time I'm beating myself up, I remember it's actually my ego doing this. And actually, it's okay to be calm. Like, my ego is doing this because it doesn't know what calm looks like. And when I can separate myself from my ego, or actually from my nervous system, I literally pretend I'm on my body and feel like I look at my body and my nerves. Like, okay, my body just doesn't, or my nervous system doesn't recognize calm. And when I can actually dissociate myself from my body for a specific purpose, like, oh, now I can calm down. And it's just my nervous system doing its thing. Okay, cool. I got it. And so being able to have that bit of almost third party separation has been hugely beneficial for me, because I could also
Yeah.
see it's not me. It's not my truest self. And be like, oh, it's just a pattern that's been running my life. It's not me.
Right.
I mean, I talked about radical responsibility. It is me. But when I was able to have space between it, it actually helped to neutralize
Yes.
everything, which is fundamentally what we're trying to get to, is neutral. And neutrality is joy and peace, or maybe it is feeling the emotions and feeling the pain. Because if when you do that and you actually clear it up without going down the spirals, you
Hmm.
actually just deal with the emotion and come back to who you truly are.
Yeah.
Sounds a
Yeah.
lot easier than it actually is, but it's a process.
It truly is. It truly is. And I know that this could also sound so like out there for some people, but I, I feel like at some point in your life, as long as you're going through some kind of awakening or something like this, at some point in time will make sense to you.
Mhm.
It will make sense.
It's about curiosity. It's not
Mhm.
about finding something to fix. We've been taught that if I do this personal development, I'm going to be my perfect self, and then I can manifest, or and then I can do it. It's actually
Right.
just curiosity and discovery. It is not even about, yes, it's about healing, but again, not healing to perfection. It's about healing to peace or calm. And when you can get there, and yeah, triggers are going to come up. Absolutely, triggers will come up. But if you can be in that moment and you notice the trigger, you're like, oh, I'm being triggered. That is the healing and that shift. And we're
Yes.
not here to be perfect. And I think I had that in my mind for such a long time, is that I need to do this to be, it needs, my manifestations need to be perfect. I need to check off every box
Yeah.
and I need to do this. And there's so many rituals, or this person has changed their life because of this. And when I actually
Yeah.
just stopped that, because I think I was stressing out my nervous system, like it was on absolute overload. And what do some people say? Manic festing. You actually make yourself,
Oh, wow.
right? You actually make yourself
Wow.
crazy when you do it. And when I could just say, I'm enough, I'm good, this is great,
Hmm.
this moment is perfect, it's divinely intended, I think that took a lot of the pressure off. But
Yeah.
again, knowing that I was already worthy, I was born worthy, that makes so much difference, because I'm like, oh, cool, good, it's beautiful,
So much
day.
pressure comes
Yes.
off.
Oh my gosh, the pressure. And I
The
think one thing
pressure.
that we see in social media is, why is my life not like somebody else? Or, and I know they say that it's
Oh God.
order of the whatever's happening in their life,
Yeah.
but it feels like there is so much pressure to be this amazing manifester and to be able to work through your feelings so quickly, or to process, or to do whatever. But just know that you're good. You got this.
Yeah. Yeah, truly. Thank you for saying that too. That's such a good like reflection moment for me because same, I used to want to be perfect at everything. I used, gosh, perfect house, perfect relationship with my family, perfect body, perfect everything. And it's just like, fuck that, right?
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
Truly, because there is no such thing as perfection. There is no, it's perfect to you, and that's it. And the only time that it becomes perfect to you is when you are in alignment with the thing that it is that you're seeing, the thing that it is that's for you. Thank you for saying that, because that was a journey within itself for me too.
Yeah.
Just seeming perfect, like everything is great. Everything, like I just wanted everything to look a certain way so that it could be recognized and perceived and validated in a certain way, right? That's not what we're here to do,
Mhm. No,
not the name of the game.
no.
And we're releasing that
Yes.
as like a society. I feel like we're really starting to get it. Like, okay, that didn't work very well.
And it's that midlife crisis of achievements. And I have everything, you know, I want every freaking one
Yes.
out there. I'm on the list of Canada's top 100 entrepreneurs. I'm on the list of top global entrepreneurs. I've won the 40s under 40. And now I just don't care anymore. And it's funny because I mean, it was never my thing to actually win those awards because it would fill something inside me. But you truly just get to the point that you're like, I just want to sit down and read a book. I want to have a glass of
That's
wine,
it.
talk to my friends, or watch the sunset, because to me, that's life. And sitting in the
Hmm.
natural abundance of life and just chilling, that's kind of the point of all of this, which is
That's the
wild.
point.
And but there's also a sense of guilt about, what was I ever chasing? What was I chasing? Was I just
Exactly.
chasing myself. And then I wonder why I spent all the money on personal development, because what was the fucking point of it all, right? Oh my God. But it's a journey to where you get there. You have to go through all of
Yes.
that. And I think also one of my own mentors, she is an 8+ figure coach, and she
Wow.
lives on a homestead in Maine with chickens and donkeys. And when I started to see,
That's real freedom right there.
right? And when I started to see people living a life of abundance, but in a totally different way that we've been sold, again, we were sold if you're going to be 8 figures, you're going to have a mansion in Malibu or whatever. But
Yeah.
everybody's truth is different. Her truth
Mhm.
is different. Her desires are different. And that is the whole damn
Yeah.
point, is to live life the way that you desire. And it's actually totally possible. And mothers who homeschool are my heroes, right? Like, I threatened my
Mm.
son with homeschooling. But then he actually said yes one day. He said yes. And I was like, oh, fuck, no, no.
No, just
This
kidding.
mama, no. I ain't meant to homeschool kid. He was like, oh,
Hard
be
pass.
fine. No, no. But there are people who desire this and desire to have that. And when that is your truth and your true calling, it's good. You are good. You are meant to
Yeah.
do this. It's not about the big house, or it's about what we want. And again, going back to, it's just the truth, is your
Yeah.
truest, happiest, freest, authentic self and what you want to do. That is the truth. And just,
Yeah.
it's that simple.
It's that simple. And knowing that I'm enough to have that.
Mhm.
I have enough now. And because I want that, I'm enough to be a match for it.
Mhm. I know.
That's it.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
I've just destroyed the coaching industry single-handedly at this moment, but you still need to do programs like enough to be able to get there. There you go.
Yeah. And, I feel like that's a whole other topic, but I feel like this industry is kind of changing too, and kind of realizing like, we might have, pushed things a little bit too far, but I feel so in integrity in the services that I offer and what I'm doing, because I'm here for the woman that's awakening in this world. That can be really hard sometimes.
Very
That
lonely.
can feel like so lonely, so lonely. And for me to be able to just be that person for a woman who needs that support, like I'm so happy to.
Mhm.
I'm so happy to. Like I'm honored.
Yes,
Yeah. Because this
really the best.
this ain't for the weak. This
Oh,
work.
I love the Instagram memes that you and I put up, when it's just, there's the cat ones, right? And it's like a cute cat, and then all of a sudden it's having a spiritual
Yeah.
awakening on the roller coaster, right? Because that is so much about what it is. And shouts out to you and kudos to you. When I first started working with Anna, I was just like, who is this woman? And we were in a program that she was guiding me. It was Peaceful Performer, which is
Yeah.
the truth of it, right? And Anna's just so peaceful and so calm. And there's not mysticism, it's just, there is a calm, peaceful, gorgeous, glorious magnetism about you. And you're just eating it up. You're
Oh,
like, I want that. I want that in my life.
thank you.
But you're kind of white knuckling to get there, and to also have a guide through that. I think that was what was so much impact. So this is all to say is that if you are dying for more of Anamaria Velasquez, you need enough, or at least doing Harmony Habits, which we'll share in the show links. But
Yeah.
oh, you have such magic in your life, and you can see that.
Hmm.
And that is
Thank
possible. And I
you.
think that's actually what we are all after now, is magic. Some of that magic. And the magic
Yeah.
in us. That magic, yes, it's out there, but there is no separation. And that's the biggest thing. If you feel like I can't have that, and I think so many people do, and I know I've gone through so many coaching programs being like, why can everybody else do this but me? Again, it's the
Hmm.
ego separation. We are all meant to have that. And there is no
Yeah.
separation. And it's right there, ready and waiting for you to just step in. And it won't be easy, because you got to go through the shit to get there. But even
Yeah.
as you go through the shit, when you do a program like Anna Maria's, you've got the community, you've got the support, and you also have somebody who's walked it. And I think that is so beautiful, because You're so open to sharing where you are at every point, but you also show us the magic that we actually all want. And I think that's why I'm always just, Anamaria, just you're a magical unicorn. And that is what I'm talking about. I want magic. I want unicorns. I
Oh,
actually told my
thank
son
you.
that we have a unicorn in the shed. Poor kid believed me. He was like so excited to open the shed. I was like, oh my God, kid, it's not real. But poor guy. He's like, really? There's a unicorn? Yeah, buddy. No. I
Oh,
know, right? What a bad mom. But I actually do believe in unicorns. They're just not visible. But you have that, you're a unicorn.
thank you, Almira.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Anything else to
No, I think this is a really good conversation and I appreciate you for it. I think the biggest takeaway here and lesson is just you remembering that you're enough exactly as you are and you're meant to have the things that you want
Yeah.
and you're meant to go be great. And so go do it.
And there's enough greatness out there for all of us. Because again,
Yes, the
the
world's
ego will
abundant.
say, well, not everybody can be famous, not everybody can be rich, or not everybody can do it. But that's a lie. Everybody can have everything they want, and we all get to be great in all the ways that we want.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And not everyone wants to do it the way that you want to do it, right? So there is room. There
Yes.
is room.
All of you homeschoolers and homesteaders, there's plenty of room.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. You're amazing.
Thank you, Almira. This was fun.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Powerful Podcast. I've so enjoyed sharing all of my insights, all my mistakes, all of my learnings as I grew and scaled my business from 6 to 7 figures. If you enjoyed this, please leave us a review. And then I'll send you back my top 3 ways to make $10,000. And I tell you, they're super easy, super creative, and super easy for you to implement. So please drop us the review, send it over, and we will send you back with my top 3 ways to make $10,000.